Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at this southern snowstorm, which is going to be impacting parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, and then even there a little bit of Maryland and Delaware with some snowfall. And this is really going to be the first snowstorm for you guys that you've seen this pretty much this entire winter. And a couple of these models are really, I think, overhyping this event, but definitely it's a possibility that you do see 6 inches or more out of this system, and that's what some of these models are showing. And it's not just one or two of these models, it's more than multiple models that are showing this. So we have a good agreement that this storm is actually going to happen by this point, and the storm would be happening for about the Thursday, Friday, even into Saturday time frame. But we really don't know if this is how intense this is gonna be, how much cold air you're gonna have, or how far north or south this is gonna track. So we're gonna be trying to figure all of that out by today, and hopefully I'm able to make my snowfall forecast by tomorrow, or potentially if I'm really unsure, maybe even by Thursday. So we'll have to see. And I didn't put out a snowfall forecast today just because I really don't have enough certainty to put out a snowfall forecast. And when I put out my snowfall forecast, I like to have a good idea of what's going to happen. And unfortunately, at this point, I really think the models have been shifting around too much that I can't make a general consensus just right now. But I think definitely by tomorrow, or maybe even by Thursday, depending on how shaky these models are, we will have a pretty good consensus of what's going to happen with this southern snowstorm. So let's get right into it here with the National Weather Service. We have winter weather advisories in effect, and this is actually from this system. You're going to have this stalled cold front that's going to be sitting over parts of the southeast, and it's going to be bringing precipitation along with it. So you're going to have a lot of precipitation with this stalled cold front that's going to be sitting over parts of the southeast. And of course, with that cold front, you're going to get that cold air to be funneled in on the backside, and that's also happening at the same time that you're going to have this high pressure bringing in all that Arctic cold air. So you are actually going to get some snowfall to potentially be pumped out over parts of the southeast. So that's really the setup that you have in place, and it's a bit of a unusual setup, but definitely it will produce snowfall most likely sometime by Thursday or Friday. And this system is actually going to be moving from parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado, and moving out into parts of the southeast. That's where you're going to get your northern piece of the energy to get some snowfall out of this event. We also have flood watches in effect for parts of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, as well as some winter weather advisories there for Maine and New Hampshire, where you're getting that system to really wrap up. Also some winter weather advisories for some lake effect over parts of the UP of Michigan and northern Michigan, as well as some wind chill advisories, again with that cold air that's going to be sinking southward with this system. You're going to have some very cold Arctic air, and they recently updated this just about a couple minutes before I was about to record, and they actually expanded these winter wind chill advisories. Before, it was just over this narrow area of northwest Minnesota and eastern North Dakota, and now they've been expanded further out and even into Wisconsin there. So some very, very cold temperatures, and really you have to bundle up if you are going outside in these conditions. If you do live over parts of Montana, into North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and into northern parts of Wisconsin. So let's get into the models here now. Let's look at your NAM 12KM model. Now, here's your stalled cold front. Is currently just bringing some showers in the form of rainfall, and this is going to continue. It's going to continue to pump out some rainfall. But as you see, as we're getting into the Thursday AM time frame, so Thursday morning time frame, you're starting to see this is your northern piece of the jet stream. Now, we're zoomed in here on the southeast, so you didn't get to see the beginning part, but it's mainly just some light 1 to 3 inch accumulation, so nothing too significant there. But as you fast forward this, now this would be by Thursday night, according to the NAM 12K model, and we're going to also look at the European model here, and then we're going to look at a couple other model snowfall forecasts. Now, this would be by Thursday afternoon and getting into the overnight time frame now, and you see some very heavy snow breaking out overnight when you actually have that coldest air, because it is, of course, you're getting into the nighttime hours, it starts to get colder. And now getting into Friday morning, starting to depart, but you still have some pretty good snowfall breaking out over eastern North Carolina and South Carolina, as well as southern most Virginia, and that's going to continue and move out to the east by Friday afternoon. So you might actually get a snow day by Friday morning, maybe just a delay delayed opening. Depends on your school district over parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, and maybe even there into Tennessee. We'll have to see. Now, let's take a look at what the European model is showing, and then it will show you the snowfall forecasts that are projected. So here's your stalled cold front. You see just some rainfall at this point, and I'll tell you, the European model has a very weak system, and the NAM 12K model has the strongest out of all of them, and then the GFS and the Canadian are kind of in between, but they're still showing a couple of inches of snow over Virginia and North Carolina. So I want to kind of show you first the two most contrasting models, so you really have to see what a big difference we have between these models, because it is a fairly big difference, and the European the entire time has been really backing off on this idea. Now you see a little bit of snow breaking out into Tennessee by Thursday night, and now getting into Thursday morning, or I mean Friday morning, excuse me, and you see maybe a little bit of mixing there according to the European model, but then it really just gets out of here, and you're going to see very little accumulation out of that. So now let's look at what the GFS is showing. We're not going to look at the actual model run here because we have a lot of models to actually go through today, but you see it's showing in general 3 to 5 inches over parts of eastern North Carolina, and the GFS has been jumping around. A couple of models earlier showing the bullseye being right around this area and showing about 6 inches. Just about a couple of model runs before, it was showing it a little bit further to the south. So it's really something that's going to change, and also something that the models have backed off on is the idea that you're going to see quite a bit of snow into northern Georgia, northern Alabama, and into Tennessee and Kentucky. So that's something that the models still have to figure out, and there's a lot that still can change. Now, something that I also want to point out, these models always have been moving to the north and west with these systems as we get closer to this event. If you remember just a couple storm systems or winter storms ago, we had about a month ago in the middle part of January, we had a system that was tracking over the Great Lakes, and it was supposed to be tracking into Ohio, Pennsylvania, and then into upstate New York. It actually ended up tracking all the way into Canada and went northwest by about 250 miles, and that's what actually happened. So there's really been a lot of changing in the models that have happened, and it's really something that still can happen, and the models can change very rapidly. Within just a couple of model run cycles, you could have a completely different story. So it's definitely something that we have to take in mind. Now let's look at the Canadian model here, and you see generally over the same location. That's something that really strikes me. This is the GFS, here's the Canadian, so a little bit of fluctuation here and there, some slight changes that are going to really get sorted out as we get closer, but definitely pretty much the same story with the Canadian and the GFS. Now here's what the NAM 12K is showing. Same placement with this system, but definitely a lot stronger out of the NAM 12KM model, so a lot more snowfall being indicated there by the NAM 12KM. And finally, look at the European snowfall, and you see maybe not even accumulating, maybe just a dusting or a coating here over parts of North Carolina, and really the only measurable snowfall would be in the higher elevations of western North Carolina out of this event. Now, here's what the National Weather Service is showing, because I really want to show you this, because it really shows you that we have very little confidence in this, because the National Weather Service, when they put out those higher totals, that's when you know that you have a higher confidence of something happening. They have a higher confidence in this event, but really they have a very low confidence according to this, because they have only a coating to an inch, even though some of these models are indicating 6, 7, 8 inches. So this is really showing you even the Weather Prediction Center hasn't even put out a chance, even a 10% chance of snowfall over North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina. So it's really something that is really going to have to come a little bit more in agreement with these models before I think many of the forecasters at the National Weather Service actually put out some decent totals. The National Weather Service is going over a general 1 to 3 inches over eastern North Carolina, but that's pretty much it. So nothing really too substantial there. Now, here, let's look at the temperatures with this event. So this event is really going to be primarily going through Thursday night and into Friday morning. So look at these temperatures while this event is really cranking. And again, remember the NAM 12K model was the peak of this system was at around Friday morning. And according to the European model, the reason you have more rainfall out of this event is because your temperatures are right around 37, 38 degrees. So definitely way too warm, even though you have some very cold air that's a couple thousand feet above your head. Now this is for the same time period, but this would be about a few thousand feet above your head, and this is about 15 degrees below zero, but Just because it's 15 degrees below zero at a couple thousand feet above your head doesn't mean that it's going to translate to the surface, because you have those very warm surface temperatures. So if we can get some of this cold air to actually be transferred a little bit further down to the surface, and if this were to be right around even 35 or 34 degrees, you will definitely have some snowfall most likely break out over this area, and definitely we'll have to see if this is going to move further north and west like the other models or like the other systems have in the past. And that's definitely something that I'm going to work to sort out over the next couple of days, and definitely I'll be analyzing these models as we get further and closer to this event. So make sure you are staying tuned to the channel. Make sure you are subscribed and leave a like on this video so you never miss videos when I do upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli with the guy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.